Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyper Roll with Autarch, and we're going to take a brief break from our series of 3-star 4-cost champs, just for a video that is a slightly different, I wouldn't suggest trying to force it thing. And let's get right into the first set of augments where I decided I was going to do this. I saw the Bruiser Crest, and while I'm going to go ahead and roll through everything else, I have not really done a video on 8 bruisers, and the reason is I find it usually does not work. Early, it can do pretty well because tankiness itself will sort of hold up a team. However, as you get to mid to late game, you are going to struggle to find a carry. The natural carry is Silas, but that is probably one of the weakest 4 costs I have seen, even at gold 3 stars. When I got an early Diana, it sort of hatched a plan in my head that said, what if I combine Dragon Lord with Bruiser, and Diana, who's pretty tanky, can be the 8th Bruiser. That will give her the ability to get into people's faces, still heal back, and potentially help be a carry along with 2 other Dragon Lords. The downside is, unless you get a Dragon Lord emblem, you're stuck at 3, and 3 doesn't give you the stun, and the stun with Dragon Lord is pretty key. In this case, though, I'm willing to risk it. Now, I left Ari in simply because she was 2 stars and doing damage, but I probably should have swapped her out for the 4th Bruiser. It is time for the second set of augments. Nothing really exciting here, although Crown Guarded isn't bad. Pandora's items interesting, but I actually have most of the items I want. So we're going to go with Martyr because that is going to help more in a Bruiser comp since they're going to heal a percentage of health and health is going to be higher. And as I've mentioned earlier, I tried a variety of 8 Bruiser comps and have not been able to find a combination that works remotely consistently, so I don't ever suggest necessarily forcing this or even going into it if you want to win, but here I just really wanted to try it out and see if I could make something work. I'm also holding Nautilus on my bench as an escape hatch. The idea being if Diana doesn't work out, I can't get the additional Dragon Lords I want, I can bring in Nautilus, make Nautilus a Bruiser, then look for Lilia or Hui to be the final carry, since I'll have a pretty strong front line with the 8 Bruisers, and I can hopefully use a Mythic in the backline to win. But I ultimately had to abandon ship on that concept as I needed to sell Nautilus to get the last couple of Kobukos that I needed in order to get him to 3 stars, and the faster you get Kobuko to 3 stars, the faster you are gaining 200 health per round, and the amount of health on Kobuko is going to be very important since remember we're also running Martyr, so their healing percentage of health. Which is then going to lead into our third and final augment, where Inspiring Epitaph looks like a pretty easy take because that will give them a health shield and a stacking attack speed, which will be key again because the majority of our team is going to be Bruisers. And the key here is going to be that stacking attack speed because you're getting attack speed buff just from when the dragon breathes. Then if you're getting additional attack speed when people go down, that is going to help champions like Diana pick up attack speed as they're going and ultimately track things down and kill them. And as you can see currently, the strategy is working. That big beefy front line is able to hold up, especially after the dragon breathes. They're picking up more speed. As some of the champions die, they pick up more speed, and surprisingly, Kobuko is the one ultimately leading the damage charts. And we managed to pick up a Rakan that is a very important pick, especially because that is going to be a lot of our damage. So we're going to go ahead and put a Rabadon's Death Cap on Rakan. Rakan is AP and just does a ton of damage with AP. Adaptive Helm is a pretty good item for Diana when she's running frontline. Not necessarily my favorite, but with what I have left, we're going to make it work. And the one Bruiser I had been missing was Galio, and now at least we have a 1-star version of him. And this is on hyperspeed because this fight took a long time, as most of these will, simply because of the amount of health on our champions. But this team is very strong and hard to break through, and even though Kobuko gives it his best, it's not enough, and we get defeated. through one of those wastes of times, we got Virtue of the Martyr, which I put on Tom Kench and then put him into the back row. The reason is I want him to puff out as much of the 6.5% healing as he can before going down. The risk is he's the last one to go down, but I'd rather have healing throughout the entire match than it cut out early. And we managed to 2-star the Rakan, which is absolutely key, and then can pick up an additional Rabadon's Death Cap. Ultimately, you'd like to get a mana item as well, and then we can put the Last Whisper on Silas, who, like I said, would normally be your carry, but so far we haven't even been able to get him to 2 stars. At 8 bruisers, you get additional damage every 3 seconds based on their health. It's going to be a percentage of their health on their next attack and physical damage. So they're going to be doing a lot. Like I say, usually you're relying on Silas, but in this case, Kobuko is the reason we are now into the top 4. And of these particular items, I'm going to go ahead and just get the Morellonomicon because I can put it on Rakan and that will just add some AP. It's a little duplicative along with the Sunfire Cape that Kobuko has because they don't stack, but Rakan should get a little bit further into the backline while Kobuko is just going to deal with the front. And we get to deal with a Ghost team first, and we have also locked for our 2-star Silas, which is going to help out with a little bit of extra damage from a champion that is really designed to be an AD champ. But as you can see, the team is very, very hard to take down, but is really relying on Rakan to put out the damage to allow us to win. And we picked up a couple of items for Lee Sin, who now serves as our 3rd Dragon Lord. Like I said, if we could have gotten the additional emblem, having the 4th Dragon Lord would have made this just an absolutely no-brainer easy win, but we were not able to do that. Luckily, Rakan is here, and he is going to do a ton of damage and shield himself when he goes in, which allows him to knock down a ton on the opposing team. They have a Silas with multiple Titans resolves, but our team is really, really strong and able to knock them out. And then I'll just talk you through the end of this because they realize they're going to have a hard time getting through the team. They would need probably a 3-star Silas to even have a chance, and they are rolling to try to put something together and ultimately realize, no, it's just not going to happen, and they're out, and it's GG for everyone. Hope you enjoyed this little break from the 3-star forecasts. We'll be back to it with the next video, and as always, have an absolutely, absolutely awesome day.